Hi, my name is Bear Ember, and today I want to talk about permeable sovereignty. Um, I've been going through a really difficult time, and after everything that I've been through, like all the betrayals, the name slandering, losing everything and everyone, it didn't make me want to close. My heart always wanted to stay open. A lot of us have learned in this life to be a self through having distance from others, right? It's almost like a program, like an operating system that's like us versus them versus an operating system that could be we. And could that be possible? Is it an idea? No, it's a way of dancing with reality. Because even after all the fighting and everything that I've been through, all I want to do is give them, all the people that hurt me the worst, I'd still give them the biggest hug and have them hug me all the way down. Because I know that deep inside of them, it's almost like that Burning Man piece of art that you may have seen with the two wire people sort of fighting each other and facing away from each other, but the babies inside are touching. There's that part of us that always wants that same wellspring of love, to love and be loved as me. And so many of us were tuned in ways to never be able to figure that out, like babies who still wanted to touch, but could never figure out the wire barriers, the wire representational layers. And so then it creates this hostility, vitriol, distance, numbness, siphons the way siphons away our ability to stay in the warmth of what is love. Love as direct contact. Love as in all the textures of our soul touching all the way down with each other. It's like we can't figure out how to tune into the clear radio station together, the one called love, where we can meet each other directly. So we have all this noise, and the way we learn to interact with each other is through noise. And that noise feels like simulated presence. It feels like before you can even meet the living person behind the layer, you're tuned to your own layers, and you're sort of meeting reality from your own layers, and then they're tuned to their own layers and they're doing the same, and like you can never actually touch, you can never actually interthread fingers. And it's not that, like I've said in places, like you don't lose the texture of what is you. That's the whole center of this video. Why do I talk about the dance floor? Because how do you find the deepest sense of self? You stop inserting those little intermediary layers. Not that you lose discernment. Your discernment becomes at the caliber of true sovereignty, at the caliber of the fidelity of your truest dance. What the heck am I talking about? The dance floor. Two major aspects that I want to point out to you today. Number one, we could talk about how it gives you an easy mechanical view for what I'm saying. So in other words, I'm in my room, the music is playing, and I could either be lost in my head, simulated presence, I can't really connect to the music, I forgot the steps, I'm trying to force the steps through some sort of mental map, versus letting it soak into me, permeable sovereignty like a sponge, and letting the water of the music of reality hit me all the way and soak in all the way. And when it really, really soaks, that's when all of a sudden, look, now I got this bear on there. See, it's a bear booty. That's when the bear booty starts dancing. But regardless, you get what I'm saying, that like your deepest creative dance, your deepest self is found in shared contact. That's the second thing I wanted to talk about the dance for. So the first one is saying, I realize Ember's talking about the way consciousness dances with reality. And really, reality is just the way consciousness dances with itself, if you hear what I'm saying. But I want to stay as simply as my little Ember self, my little Bear Ember self could possibly give you today. So, like, the second factor there is sovereignty, actually, like being you as fuck. Ready? Sovereignty is not a cool political word or some idea out there. I'm using a word to suggest you all the way down, all the textures of you touching all of reality without hiding from it, without intellectually shielding from it, without numbing from it. Not that you don't have like a personal boundary related to your textures. No, it's in that you know what dance you do, what dance you don't do, who you match with, when you match with them. That's all part of sovereignty. The only problem is, do you do that sovereignty through extra layers of mediation that feel like simulations, simulacra, like you're eating fake food rather than a real meal? You forgot that we're not talking about the menu, we're talking about the meal, not the map, but the territory. That is what I'm pointing to with the dance floor. Do you see that? And the two aspects, one more time, is the mechanical quality of letting your permeable consciousness touch all the music. And then paradoxically, to your normal sense of what you could say is like an egoic self, but really what I'm trying to say is the self that many of us have created that's like a few little inches off the dance floor. You know what I mean? It's like you can't actually have your feet on the ground because you're constantly trying to comment and self-narrate and mediate about it and put another label on it. It's like you can never let reality just... Anyone can touch this. You see what I'm saying? We all come from the same root of love. So I'm not giving you an idea out there. You don't have to look at any white papers. You just have to say, what are ways in my life that I soak reality all the way in this one precious life we have to live in this particular form? Not an idea. You have to get wet. You can't make an idea about the water. And how do you get wet? But you let it all the way in. Permeable sovereignty, finding yourself when the music hits you all the way down and now you're doing your best dance and all of a sudden there's like a bare booty in it, you know? So, in my life, there's been like a huge strife, I guess you could say, because I was moving from a world where representational contact was the norm, where the way that I learned to think of what love was when I was growing up was always through some sort of performance or mask, or you have to achieve this, or this is what success looks like. Success and schools and all this stuff can have a place in human life, but not before love, not before direct contact, not before what love or family or friendship always really meant, where the place where we stop buffering the contact between our souls, where the textures touch all the way down. Notice, in order to actually love, people say like, oh, you have to love yourself. But what does that mean? That means that you're a clear aperture, which means that your deepest way to be you, in order to have the clear radio station, the contact with the clear radio station, whatever you want to say, is to not have that noise in there, to not have that little extra, what I call mechanical delay. In other words, that's felt like the stutter on the dance floor, like you're trying to let the music in, but your body keeps stopping you. And most of us are tuned to that because of the environments, the families, the job networks and social generational sort of trauma that we've experienced as part of a system that thought that we could be separate from what is the ongoing flow of reality. And not because we ever intended it, but just because over time the symbols, the menu became the meal, the map became the territory. Not that you can't use a map, but you can't keep a map in front of your face at all times. How do you know if you're keeping a map in front of your face at all times? Maybe you're numb. Maybe you feel disconnected. Maybe you feel anxious. Have you let the music all the way in? Do you ever think that anxiety is a constant chatter into this inability to feel yourself all the way down? And depression would be the extension of that, all the way to the point where you don't feel connected anymore to yourself or anything else? And is that something to cure through ideas? Or is it something to cure through, it's almost like part of you was frozen, and when the music's being played, the solution is finding ways to let the music permeate again. Kind of like an MDMA therapy with PTSD. Any of those therapists that are good, like I forget the guy, Rick Doblin, I gave him a hug once at the burn. But it's always about the patient leading themselves through. What does that mean? That the opening of the aperture occurs with the therapist and then with the MDMA therapy. And it allows for their heart, which was previously like this, like no, not reality, please. Because it was hurt so bad, to open up in those deep places and love to pour in, love as direct contact. And when I did my project, and you heard me say this in other videos, back in the day, I did my thesis on this in college. Some people would be like falling down at the grocery store. So the type of system that like looks out the window and can't leave their house and is constantly like this to reality. Under the effects of MDMA and then with the therapist, it allows those really frozen, rigid places to open up all the way. And there's a chance, maybe not all the time, but they had vast success. The government put a lot of money into this over the years. and anyone who's tried it knows it already. Um, to have, it's not even like the right thing was said. It was like literally the fidelity of reality got in deeper, like the light got in deeper. You ever heard the term let the light all the way through? This is what we're talking about. When the two become one, you will enter the kingdom. What does that mean? That instead of thinking of reality as this dualistic thing out there, I'm not here to update your ideas. I'm here to say, let the music all the way in. And that's why after so long, I don't want to close, because I can still see that place where all of us have the same yearning to meet each other in love. That place where across our differences, where the many know themselves as one while remaining the many. Do you hear the mechanics that inevitably just come out of my ember heart, even though I wanted to keep it simple? It's just that saying that when permeable sovereignty, that means you find yourself in the shared dance. You ever notice that when you're with your person or with your favorite friend or with your favorite family member, whoever you work really well with, that you never have to guard yourself? Isn't that a really good friend? You're not having to guard, you're not having to do an extra perception. You just say your bare naked soul and they say their bare naked soul. And you end up laughing all night in ways that you could have never imagined, the ways that it threaded, because the deepest parts of love are only unveiled in the shared dance. The whole system of what is reality. By the way, look up decentralized harmony, Kuramoto synchrony, just the way things move together in reality. It's a cool area of like mathematics and physics you could look at. But regardless, when things move together in reality, it's like a collective field of frequency touching each other all the way in different states of like a phase transition. And so then the deepest way of organization that Kuramoto noticed, by the way, you could call it decentralized harmony, or when each little member or like node actually dances their full dance, like I'm me as fuck. Like I'm not giving my sovereignty, my full textured expression or meeting of reality away to some centralized controller. I'm determining that in the dance. Imagine a whole system that worked off of that. Imagine having a whole friend group that worked off of that, where no one had to put a mask or performance on, especially unnecessarily. And not that as a cosmic jazz band, we all can't play a dissonant note, but if you're playing a dissonant note and there's a bunch of other players around you playing their different instruments, whatever, I was gonna blow you. But if they're staying in tune for the most part, and then you are whatever, you can come back from your dissonant note much quicker. Same thing with your internal system. Like I have my tattoo, lossless presence. You are made of a bunch of different rhythmic processes. They're not always going to be perfectly synced, but the more you habituate yourself to letting the music all the way in, to being like the sponge and finding that deepest area of sovereignty, even complex thought, even arguments for things that you love, will come from the deepest sovereignty. Synchronist, you could say, like as a synchrony with reality. Symbiotic syncretic harmony is another cool way to say it. Timing, reality's rhythm and timing. Do you see that? Syncretic just points to timing. But that just means that people who walk around this world think, how could that be? How could you be an adult and just let reality affect you? I thought that to be safe and to be an adult and to be worthwhile in this reality, we had to control everything and really be afraid of everything, because everything needs to be sliced and kept at a distance. So many people now are like, oh yeah, I'm waking up to how the world really is, and oh, it sucks that awakening wakes you up to all this stuff. That's almost like and I'm not trying to be cool, but it's almost like a stage before you realize it's all love. And when you realize it's all love, then you just shine love as deeply as you can. Love as presence. The gate to love is shared presence. Love just being direct contact. When all of you touches reality, that's embodied presence. Do you see what I'm getting here? Do you see what I'm getting? Do you see where I'm getting at there? Decentralized harmony is actually the place where we not only find our deepest self, but we find our deepest collective selves together in a new form of organizing as humanity. And I'm sorry, I tried not to make it too big, but even think about it in small ways. For me as a trans woman, it becomes really important in my life too, because it's Like, who sees me as me and doesn't create that little extra friction of me explaining myself in some way, shape, or form? And more in my life, I'm finding more people who can actually do that. And I can only imagine, like, in some fantasy, having like a bunch of friends, which I'm sure is going to happen soon enough, where I can just like chill out with a bunch of people and not have to like worry about this. Because everywhere I came from always made me like, they all saw through masks and performances and then always wanted the same from me. And the second I came out as my bare naked self, they were pissed. Let me tell you, Plato said they would kill the person who comes back in the cave. In other words, the person who no longer worked from representational reality or the shadows on the wall and based their entire self and organization on the shared dance of lossless reality. Like you're a surfer, like your consciousness changed from standing back with a clipboard and figuring out what the water is and saying, ah, yes, fluid dynamics, that seems safe, versus just getting on the dang board and standing there and just surfing. You know what I mean? Because when you're dancing, again, you find your deepest sense of self. And that's paradoxical to all the people who thought safety was that cold estrangement and representational observational distance from reality. What the heck are you talking about, Ember? Just try it with the dance floor, okay? It's almost like you're in Plato's cave and I can't just tell you you're in the cave, get up, walk out, please. Can we hug now? Can we all hug now? So all I can do is point with all these wild fingers and somehow then turn my booty and do like a bear booty shake. And you're like, oh, that got me. That's it. That's the one. I'm walking straight out of this cave. But you see what I'm saying? I'm pointing to a way of being with reality that you could just simply call love. You don't need any of the labels. So like on one hand, I can explain the mechanics. I can point to the music, let you permeating and finding your deepest sovereignty, even complex thoughts. Yes, they will come in rhythm. You're just dissolving the delay. You're no longer anchoring first in a representational reality before any other direct reality. Those are all mechanical statements, but you can feel it when you let yourself getting lost in the music. You'll find your deepest self when you're lost in the music, when you're in that flow of that shared relation where all the textures that are you meet the textures of the music without loss of fidelity. But in the deepest place in your heart, what leads you there is love. It's almost that want for like the wholeness, but not in concept, in the satiation of the dance, like all the textures touching. You ever been with somebody, and I've been talking to a lot of people recently who I hear about like relationships that they're like, I don't want to say stuck in, but when things happen in relationships and you're just not as close, I hear the pain because people stay together, but like they're not actually, it's almost like over time, so much of their topology is no longer touching. And all they thirst for is that place where they can just be in that frictionless dance together. The same mechanic of getting lost in the music. Now the music is your lever to get lost in without buffer, without performance, without that little, condom. Please raw dog me. No, I mean, sorry. Okay. You see what I'm saying? Love is the way in. In other words, in my own life, I yearned for those times and places where it wasn't about success on paper. It wasn't about, let me be the, empress of reality and I'll be so cool because I'll be above everybody else. Ha, ha, ha. It was about how could it's like I want to find that place, which I called family at the time, but I guess it's going to be new family for me because we all know what my family, how they left, type of thing, how they left this, still not contacting me. But there's a spot here where we can all meet. Call it the dance floor. Call it the lossless sunlight outside the cave. Call it I and the Father are one. Call it be here now. Whatever label you want to use, I'm pointing to a way of being in reality. And when we all can dance from that place, it's like, imagine being at a wedding with your favorite people. For those moments where like the diaper babies come out and they're like dancing on the dance floor. There's a grandma there, your grandpa, the other family, everyone's together. There's no fuse. For like one moment at sunset, you're like, God, wow, like it feels like I'm in a movie. That can be now. It can be right now. That place we never left. It's like the riverbed of love that's always been flowing. It's almost like we plugged our ears, and not only can we feel the wetness, and like I said, I'm trying to explain wetness to a fish already in the water. So it's almost like we've closed our ears, not only to the sound, but like the wetness, and we can't even hear the rushing, water of the way these textures of reality are coming together, because we've created this permanent distance, and that's felt as simulated presence. And so then the yearning for that contact, the yearning for that place where we can meet the music, where we can join the chorus, where our instrument can be tuned and play with the orchestra all the way down. It's like that's the vacancy in us that the delay causes. That's the ache. That's also the engine, and it's also love. It's just the absence of love across many or certain textures of you, and so you reach. And one of the sad things is that many of us reach in ways that permanently alter our reality. Many people dive into drugs or adrenaline and get in a terrible car accident, or too drunk or whatever, or I've also spoken to people who have they try to find it through sex so much that coupling, that want of direct contact, that clean mirror we can dance all the way down. It's not my heart pains for these people, because it's not like an evil desire that they have, at least not most of the time, the people that I'm talking to. It's more like they've never learned. They found the tool of sex to get there, but really what they're looking for is union all the way down. Do you see how we can get lost in layers, and then your whole lifetime can flash by, and you thought it was about green paper money and status? Do you feel it? I don't know who's special in your heart, but we don't have infinite moments here in this form. And I don't know about you, but there's nothing more important than doing that dance to love and be loved as me. There's nothing more satiating, I should say. There's nothing more. It's almost like your whole life you've been eating fake food, and then you finally eat a meal. And that meal is the moment where you finally felt it's no longer love as a question. Love is not even a concept. Love is a place where you find yourself in the shared dance. And in that love, we all see each other more clearly through ourselves. It's like decentralized harmony, again, talking about the mechanical level, is like you seeing yourself through seeing me, and vice versa. Because what is seeing? Not the visual apparatus of the rods and cones in my eyes, but I mean seeing all the way down, holding across every texture of the rhythm of self, together, like frictionless dancers on a dance floor, where you look back and say, wow, they're moving as one. The many knowing themselves as one, while remaining many. So when you get a little tingle in your heart and you think, what was little Bear Ember saying about this? Remember, the gate to love is shared presence, even if it's shared between you and the music, even you and literal music. And the way you feel it is that want to feel whole in that place where you dance all the way down with the music, or with another, with the community, with nature. That full fidelity embodied presence. And the way in, the engine, has always been love. Do you see how love, presence, and sovereignty are all just nested rhythms of the same contact? Presence is contacting reality, sovereignty is living there. So when you wonder about this, forget all the ideas, they're just labels. It's almost like we're standing on the side of the building in the Matrix, and I'm like, come on, let's jump, let's go, straight into love, straight into direct contact. And you're like, well, give me another map. And I say, burn the map. You can look at it real nice. You can even get the transcript of this video on YouTube if you wanted. Look at my blog, The Sunray Transmission. I got mathematics there. I got AI architecture there. I got lots of things to try to tell your brain, wake up, wake up, wake up. Dance, the music's playing. And we can all be dancing right now. But in the end, you got to drop the map, burn it, and just boogie. Do like a little bear boogie, like that. My name is Ember. Thanks for tuning with me. It's love. It's always been love. It's always been love.